Okay, I'm back to talk more about this USC defense in light of the upcoming Alabama versus USC game. Now, I want to focus in on the defensive line and most of the participants in that 5-2 defense that we're going to see, specifically in the front line in the five that we will see in this game. So, let me just get a disclaimer out there first. I know the USC fans will be all on me if I don't say this because you're thinking that when I say USC doesn't have any depth, you're thinking I'm saying USC doesn't have talented players or USC doesn't have a lot of talented players. So I'm not saying that. I do know that USC has been recruiting and they brought in numbers. They even got transfers. They brought in people. So they have bodies, they have numbers, they have people with talent. I understand. That's not what I mean when I say depth, though. Depth involves more than just talent. So you got to have numbers, talented numbers, talented numbers who are ready to play. So I would describe depth as having multiple players at positions who are talented that are ready to play. Not necessarily game experience, although that is very important, but who are ready to play. And a lot of that we won't know until the game actually starts. We don't know how much any team in America has regarding depth until the season starts. At this point, it's all projection and speculation. So let's talk a little bit about USC on that front line. So, based on some things I've been reading and reports that I've seen, the defensive line nose tackle is going to be the Utah transfer, Stevie Tokolovatu. I don't know if I said that right, but he has two career starts in his career coming from Utah, and he's going to be the starting nose tackle in the 5-2. And either side of him is going to be Malik Dorton, and it's going to be Noah Jefferson. Jefferson's the biggest guy, I believe, at 6'6", 330. So that is something to look out for. I'm just looking forward to seeing him on TV, or at some you'll see him in person, how big he is. So see if that strength, if his strength matches, his size, and it's a lot to look out for there. So you got Stevie Tukulavatu, you got Malik Dorton, and you have Noah Jefferson, and of course the one that I thought that maybe he was going to get the starting job, but it looks like he's just rotating. And it's kind of interchangeable with the two defensive end spots, and that is Rasheem Green. He, in practice, has been rotating with them, but he is not the official listed number one on the depth chart at either end spot. But he will rotate in. So him and Jefferson both played last year. None of them started. And it actually gets to my next point. Nobody on this USC line, on this front, has starting experience from last year. As a matter of fact, all five interior linemen for the USC front, they all are gone. They were seniors. They graduated. So USC has no starting experience besides Tokolavatu, who started 2 games at Utah. That's something to look out for. It's possibly a concern, not necessarily, but definitely looks like something that USC has to be on the lookout for. Something they have to see how it's going to play out when the game actually starts. None of these guys having extensive starting experience. We know they're talented. Rasheem Green, I believe, had 5.5 sacks last year. You can correct me on that. Someone let me know if that's official. Um, and so we know they're talented. We know they can get after the quarterback. And they had issues stopping the run last year. That's also another factor that we're going to have to look out for in this Alabama game. So we know Alabama likes to run the ball. We know they like to establish the run and be physical. USC has to show that they have made that improvement from last year to this year. And I know they have a coaching change. I understand Pendergrass runs to 5-2, and I know he has more aggressive schemes, and I know that he's probably going to approach things a lot differently. But the players themselves still have to show that they've made the jump, mentally and physically and, toughness wise from being a team that gave up a lot of running yards and, physicality last year to now a team that can stop the run and has become more physical. They have to show that in this first game. Otherwise, it can be a long day for USC. Alabama establishes this run. That's what they want to do. Then that will spell doom of USC if they allow it to happen for the rest of the game. So you got to continue on the outside. You have Nwosu at one outside linebacker spot, and you have I can't remember his name right now. It's gonna come to me. Port Augustine, who has been a lot of reviews, a lot of reviews. Uh, they expect big things out of him. So that will be the whole five too. It will be that'll be the whole five on the front line. Port Augustine, Malik Dorton, Stephen Toklevatu, Noah Jefferson, and Nwosu. Those guys they expect to play well. They have a lot of talent, of course. It's the guys behind them as well, whereas the depth comes into concern. Like I said, remember my first definition of depth was, you know, uh, numbers, talented numbers who are ready to play, and behind them, we're not so sure what we got. So as I've already said, Rasheem Green is interchangeable with both defensive end spots. So he's technically the backup at both defensive end spots. And honestly, unless you guys have more information, I haven't heard much about any more defensive ends behind him who are ready to play, or I haven't heard their names mentioned much at all. And it could be just some of the sites and where sites are into, but I've been searching around. I haven't seen a lot. At defensive tackle, they have noticeably more numbers. Behind the second string guys, actually a converted offensive line at defensive tackle, which is Khalil Rogers, who was the offensive lineman, and now he's converted to defensive tackle, and he's number 2 on the depth chart behind Stevie Tokolabatu. And they say he's been doing well. And he's ahead of a former high school defensive tackle. Uh, I'm blanking on his name right now. But yeah, so at defensive tackle, they have more numbers that have names. So that shows you something that those players are making an impact. But they also lost Kenny Bigelow back in the spring, which means that that number did cut down some. They would have had a little bit more experience. And also, they have another transfer from JUCO, junior college, Josh Fatu. I haven't heard much about him, so I don't know what's going on in his situation. I don't know if he'll contribute at all this year. We'll see. And then there's one more aspect here that goes into play. Yes, um, regarding Noah Jefferson and Rasheem Green, since fall camp started, it's been reported that they have been dealing with injuries. Um, Nothing big, but it has caused, especially Noah Jefferson, to miss a lot of time. He's been missing a lot of practice reps because of his injuries. And so that's something to look out for. That is a concern going into this game. So, like I said, if they go down, Noah Jefferson or Rasheem Green, who behind them at defensive end is going to step up in that place? And like I said, we don't know right now. We can speculate. We can say, well, they don't have anybody really behind them that can really step up. Or they may, and those guys just haven't had their opportunity yet. We'll see. Like I said, I know USC has been recruiting well. I know they have numbers. I know they have talent. But that's not the only thing that comes into play when it's having depth. So the question is, on the USC front, we know that their first guys are going to be good. Or at least they should be good based on what we've seen and heard. What about the guys behind them, and how does that affect them as a team? That's a lot of information that I've been thinking about. I've been trying to read it all and get it all together. Let me know what you think about the USC defensive line. And let me know if I missed anybody, or like I said, I was blanking on some names. Let me know if there are more people there that who you think might make an impact. USC fans, I definitely want to hear from you. Alabama fans, what do you think? See you next time.